Sonny Cantion became the first two-time winner this season by coming home first last time out at Spa. With 4 races in the books and 4 drop races allowed for in the rules, today is the deadline for drivers who have yet to make an appearance this season to run the table that is the final 8 races and avoid taking a 0 in the points. Will the future champion make his grand entrance today, or will the points foundation laid by all the drivers the fans have been watching all season be the building blocks to a title? Find out soon as the Advanced Mazda Cup comes to Northern California's WeatherTech Raceway at Laguna Seca for round 5 of the 2019 Spring Season Championship. And you can see all the strength of field action live as it happens right here on the Global SimRacing Channel via the iRacing Esports Network. Hello everyone and welcome. Joe Peak joins yours truly, Bill Subzon, to bring you our Word's Eye view. Sean Crackers Ambrose has director duties armed with cameras provided by Dougie Peter. You know, on a rugged section of the Northern California coast, the most photographed tree in the world, the lone cypress, clings to a barren rock and struggles to survive. A few miles inland, on a dusty racetrack, there's going to be a different kind of struggle as drivers try to negotiate their Mazda Miatas through the challenges of Laguna Seca. Joe, tell us a little bit more about today's track.
You know, it's interesting to me, Bill, that this track has become so synonymous to road racers. You look at its history, and though it's been around for quite a while, the current layout is relatively new. The roughly 2-mile length used to be a bit shorter and a lot faster. Where the Andretti hairpin is today, it straight-lined its way to what is now turn 5. Obviously, the drivers today aren't concerned with that. If anything, most of them have probably committed these 11 turns to memory, since not only is it base content here on iRacing that every single user gets, it's also shown up in many different racing games over decades now. Which brings me back to my initial point. This might not be considered a world-class circuit when you put it up against some of the others we visited, like Spa or Interlagos. Yet, thanks to sim racing, the world over has really embraced this place. And for our audience that hasn't driven here in any of those games, let's hop on board the GSRC lap guide so that we can really see what it's like from inside the cockpit.
All right, we've got Giancarlo Lenzi in the GSRC MX-5, so let's do a lap around Laguna Seca. Coming across the start-finish line, we hit turn 1, which isn't much of a turn so much it is a place to set your car up for the Andretti hairpin. And honestly, the hairpin is probably your best opportunity for a pass on the whole course. It's a big, heavy braking zone, but watch out. With it being downhill, it's easy to overshoot the first apex. Get the car turned and try to get the power down before you glance that second apex, then before you know it, you gotta swing the car to the left to set up for 3. This turn feels like it tightens on exit, so be careful not to get on the power too early. From there, it's just a little lift into 4, but this kink is extremely important. If you lose your speed on the exit, you might be vulnerable down into turn 5. It's not the best place for an overtake, but that doesn't stop guys from trying. Now, as you head into this uphill left-hander, it's gonna be critical to carry your momentum in the little MX-5. You certainly don't want to be too wide as you head into the notorious turn 6. It's going to be a light brush on the brakes, then snag the apex just right and let her track out. You can expect drivers who get this corner wrong to pay dearly. Once again, we continue to climb uphill, so momentum is key. Hold left and cross over to give yourself a nice straight braking zone into the corkscrew. Here the track absolutely disappears and you're going on memory of where the edges of the course are. If you manage to hit it right, you're thrown immediately into rainy curve. This long plunging turn has a very late apex, so swing it wide then cut in. From there, you'll switch sides once more and try your best to use the banking of turn 10 to really carry your speed. After that, you approach the final hairpin of turn 11. This is another good place to attempt to pass, but you gotta be sneaky and catch your opponent off guard. Just be careful because the long run means they could pull an over-under on you. From there, it's just a matter of accelerating up the hill and finishing your lap around Laguna Seca.
The driver who figures out how to work the corkscrew might be the guy who gets to drink the champagne for winning the race. Joe Peak talking us around Laguna Seca. Let me take you through the point standings right now. Keep in mind that these numbers do not take into account the 4 drop races allowed for in the rules. The top 4 drivers all hold station. The only thing that has changed is the interval. Sonny Kenshin's lead increases from a single point to 51 over the Greek Street, Ioannis Moumoulides. Maple Leafs hang in 3rd and 4th in the form of Mike the Hamsterdam and David Kahn. Portugal plants its flag in 5th thanks to the efforts of Marcelo Eusebio. All right, Joe, let's go ahead and take a look at the race details.
Absolutely. You mentioned we're round 5 here and those 4 drop weeks that you see up at the very top. But compared to last week, we've got a sprint race, 25 minutes. There will not be one pit stop, even though I know the graphic says that. The setups on the cars are open, and that can make a little bit of a difference around this track. It's very technical around here, and you want the car to really be behaving to within precision inputs. So that could give you those few tenths that you need to try to get ahead. They have an incident cap in this series. After 17, you are disqualified, and they use the official iRacing points for the championship points that we just saw a moment ago. There's also no spare car, Bill. So if they run into any sort of damage, and at this track, well, it's relatively common. They've got no basically car that they can jump into to get a fresh start on the race. They've got to run what they brung.
The weather is always nice in the rural world here in my home state. Let's see, Joe, if iRacing agrees.
I'd say iRacing agrees. Look at that. Beautiful 64 degrees out and 69 degree track temperatures. That's the real key. The air temperature isn't as big a concern with the drivers as it is that track surface. And 69 degrees is very, very grippy. It is a little bit windy, which can catch you out in some places. You could see it's changing slightly, so drivers will keep their heads up for gusts. And it's also a little bit humid out here in California. A little bit surprising for the desert, but regardless, it is what it is. Everybody's got to deal with it, and it's going to affect everybody the same.
Qualifying starting to get turned up right now. Sonny Kenshin up in front, ahead of Ioannis Moumoulides. Kenshin put in a 1:35.3. My goodness, the second place driver Moumoulides, a second, just about 9/10 of a second slower.
Both of them are on their second lap for the moment. This is Calderon. He could also throw a wrench in the works. He hasn't finished his first lap yet. He was very, very fast in warm-up, Bill. So let's see what he's got.
Comes up over the hill.
Ooh,
Did not count.
So he's got to go around again. And honestly, Bill, the qualifying is going to be very important here. At a place like Spa, where you can use the draft to try and garner some spots throughout the race, the draft isn't as powerful, and passing's really tough around here. There's a few places where you can get it done, but it's really easy to defend, to be honest. So if someone manages to get up towards the front, if they've got pace, it's going to be inexorably hard to try and pry that away.
We're looking here at Derek Holland trying to put in a time. And he's going to be in 10th position. Now we'll look at the points leader, Sonny Kenshin.
He put in a faster lap by about a 10th, and Moumoulides is just crossing, and he doesn't go faster. Oof, this is not looking good for the rest of the field.
Yeah, the real question is Calderon in the number 3 cars. We look at Ivan Garcia. Calderon, a big name. He'll be coming across right after Garcia.
The other thing is, too, is you're probably going to see aggressive moves on the first lap when everybody's close together, especially into the Andretti hairpin. when there's a little bit of chaos going on. So you might be able to sneak through some openings, but it can also bite back. And we've seen some bad pileups in this car at this track in the past.
Boom! How about second position for Calderon?
Second position, but still about 2/10 shy of Sonny Cantion.
A lot better than he was. We're looking at Wilson DeCastro. Large field, 23 cars here, and we had a split. So, my goodness, we had, what, about 45 or 46 drivers signing up to race.
Got two drivers that are still able to get time in. Loyarte that we're watching, and Johnson. Loyarte has not set a single lap. Johnson's actually gone out, and his didn't count because he had an off track somewhere. But they've got just enough time to come around to do one more time across. After that, there's just not enough time on the clock for them.
We're looking at Marcelo Eusebio. Very fast driver. He's sitting fourth. Oh, there's Lucas. We're going to look at Eusebio here in just a minute as soon as Lucas puts in his time.
Yeah, they're pretty close together on the track, even though we can't see them. They all get their own individual track, essentially, here in sim racing. It looks like Loyarte is going to abandon his. So, Marcello. Ooh, that one did not count. He's going to have to settle for fifth.
21 drivers putting in times. Go ahead, Joe.
Johnson just came across, but it only gets him up to 20th. I think that's going to be everybody. Our grid is set.
Fastest qualifier, 135.2 from Canton. The slowest driver was Wilson DeCastro, put in a 139.1, so a big difference in lap times. With that done and a standing start in a fairly large field, let's go ahead to the grid right now, and I'll run down the top 10. It is Sonny Canton. He's going to be inside of Luis Felipe Calderon. Ionos Moulidas, the Greek streak, in third, flanked by Elmer Erlicott. Back in fifth position, it is Marcelo Eusebio and Ivan Garcia. Seventh and eighth is going to be Roy Coimbra and David Paton. Boy, David back there in eighth, the Canadian driver. Ninth and 10th goes to Kim Short and Chris Thurmond. Joe?
11th belongs to Kota Miwa with Eric Lopez in 12th. Derek Holland gets 13th spot, and Daniel Satelli sits in 14th. Michael Wortman will start in 15th. The outside of that row will be Tristan Marks, P16. Akira Shimotori will be starting 17th. Omar Orellana in 18th, and Christian S. Ost in 19th. Then you've got Charles Johnson, who I mentioned, who got himself into 20th. Wilson DeCastro, 21st. Lucas Loyarte, 22nd. And Adam Lacey did not get a time in as well as Lucas, so I'm not sure if either of them are going to be gridding.
Number one car of Sonny Canton. Number one designated as the car number one in the points, number one on the grid.
This really is working out in Sonny's favor so far. It's going to almost, I'd say, take a mistake from Sonny for anybody to catch him, unless Luis just has a whole lot more pace than what his qualifying implied.
Sitting in fourth, Elmer Erlicott. We watched him race last time. He's very competitive. Can't count him out. There's a beautiful shot of the Laguna Seca countryside. WeatherTech Raceway at Laguna Seca. You see it right there on the side. Getting ready to go racing here. This is round number 5. Waiting for everyone to get out here. Should be a good event. It's a sharp one. 25 minutes. No pit stop. You can hear the engine start to harmonize. You know what you're going to do. Gather up the chickens. Take cover behind the cows. The horses are out of the barn. No surprise to see Sonny Canton leading the way. Calderon in second. Moulidas right behind. Look at him slot in position. Erlicott being challenged on the outside by Eusebio. Eusebio's not going to be able to get that done. They go side by side through turn number 1.
A little bit of a check up in the back. A few cars kind of came together, but otherwise mostly clean. I think Calderon maybe gave Cancian a slight bump into the corner, but I don't think it should have caused any damage.
Everybody clean so far as they work the back half of the track. Heading down into corner number 5. Pretty straightforward corner. Then to get to the scariest corner for me, and that is that really quick corner number 6 coming up, and that's what Sonny Ketchen is going to go negotiate right now, the left-hander, and then he'll go up the hill to the corkscrew.
And it's going to be even scarier for Eusebio, who was side by side. Eusebio, who was side by side with Coimbra. They both managed to make it through, but Rui unfortunately lost another spot because he had to take to the dirt on the outside.
Ivan Garcia was able to get that position, move him up into 6 as the field works their way through the corkscrew for the first time. Everybody clean through here. Some side-by-side racing. I believe Lopez might have picked up a spot on Derek Holland. They continue to race back there for 13th.
Yeah, for the most part, it's been a pretty clean opening lap. A little bit of action. Some drivers being aggressive, but I'd say fairly aggressive. Nobody really doing anything silly. If anything, the top 3, though, starting to spread out. The real action begins in 4th from what I'm seeing.
Yep, so often that is the case. The front 3 begin to pull away. Erlicott, Elmer back there in 4th position. That's where the train starts. Eusebio behind him, Garcia, Coimbra, Short, Payton back there, David, the Canadian driver, in 9th.
As we go on board with Elmar, looking backwards, that's Garcia that you see behind him. One little mistake, just like that, we saw off track, Bill. That was Garcia running a little wide once again. You can get away with that sometimes in 4. What you really got to be careful with is if the car starts to rotate on you, the wall to the right comes up in a hurry, and I've seen many drivers end their races there. Speaking of which, it looks like Holland might have done that.
We talked about Holland racing back a little farther back in the field.
It looks like he did exactly what I was just talking about, except he didn't end up in the wall that I was talking about.
Field makes their way through the corkscrew a second time, clean as can be. Now, we were watching the battle in the mid-pack, but all the while, little by little, Calderon has been making the move on Cancian, and look at this.
You know, I think Sonny may have gotten a cut.
I don't know where Sonny is. Yeah.
Yeah, you can see him there. He's in the maroon car, and he did. He cut it way too close, and now he's paying the price.
Erlicott going to get him for 3rd position as he continues to have to... Oh, my goodness, something's wrong.
Oh, it's very early in the race, and some side-by...
Yeah.
Oh, car getting tipped around. That was Eusebio.
Cancian has had an issue. I don't even see him on screen anymore. Do you still see him, Joe?
Yeah. No, he's out there. He's down in 7th, Bill.
Yep. And while we're looking at that, okay, we're going to get a replay on this. Let's take a peek what our director has found for us. This is Eusebio and Thurmond.
He was the one that got turned around almost in the Andretti hairpin. And here we go with Thurmond looking from behind. It's to the side, maybe? Oh. Looks like, unfortunately, the Texan driver going to find that wall very hard.
Yeah. We come back live. We're going to look at P2. This is Mumaloudis under attack from Erlicott. I want to go back, though. I want to go back to Ketchen because something is fishy back here. He is still off the pace.
Well, no, he's back on the pace now. What happened, Bill, is with the iRacing software, if it's early in the race, obviously it sometimes will overestimate because it's basing it on the times people have put in certain parts of the track. And because not many have really had too many fast corners through the corkscrew, and that's where he cut, it really kind of went overkill. So he just kept having to give and give and give.
Let's look at this battle, though. Now, here is Eusebio in this battle. That yellow car there, that is Lopez. Lopez will have the preferred position as they work through 3, heading down into 4. Subio's going to get pushed off into the sand. Coming into the mix now is Satilli.
Yeah, and I think Marcello's really got to learn the outside of turn 3 is not the place you want to be. Everybody's really tracking out. For some reason, that corner exit just feels really shallow compared to other corners. And that's why he keeps getting shoved off, because everybody's going to very quickly find themselves being shot out to that outside edge. Oh, and second place changed hands.
Erlicott makes the pass on Mumali. Now Mumali just falls back, but driving away from these guys is Calderon.
Yeah, he's got a whole 4-second gap right now, Bill. This is horrible news for everybody behind. But we've already seen at least one cut course. That's, you know, surprisingly easy to do through the corkscrew. So that could be what those guys need to hope for, to try and run him down. The other problem, of course, is that Sonny Cancian is, well, I was going to say he was going to run them down, but maybe he has some damage or something. He's in the pits now.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I know you were chalking it up to a black flag, but I think something was wrong, either a hardware issue or something. Yeah, I noticed he was off the pace for. I understand about the black flag, but it was a really long time.
That's true. I think you're right. Could be hardware related, that something on his computer is making it hard to drive at pace.
We watched this. Oh, a little bit of a tap from Miwa. Got into the back. We'll take a look at this. These guys were battling for, I think, 11th position at the time. This is Miwa and Satilli.
Yeah, and your car's very on the limit through this hairpin. You're trying to really get it to rotate. So if anybody touches that left rear like that, the car's already rotating, so it doesn't need much help to just completely go around. So it's this awkward slow spin that's hard to keep from finishing.
Now, Payton has been looking at these guys ahead of him for a while. He's got Short behind him. I think Payton is on the move. In fact, he did. He's looking. He's already made the pass. Short's going the wrong direction.
And up ahead of him is Rui Coimbra, who we know is a little bit prone to mistakes so far today, but maybe he's collected himself. He's got about 1.5 seconds back to Payton.
You can see that battle, and then on that long screen that we saw there's a 3-car battle for second. We'll check in on that one in a minute. We don't want to jump you around too much. Let's watch a little bit of racing here.
Yeah, I'm keeping half an eye on that other one because those cars are awful close. The other reason that this track is so difficult as we take a look at the battle for second, Bill, difficult to pass, is that, like I mentioned in the pre-race, most of these drivers have run a lot of laps around here, and especially many of them have run tons and tons in this car at this track. So everybody kind of knows the tricks. Everybody knows how to find the maximum around here, and try to squeak your way through someone just adds to the difficulty, since most people really know kind of what you're going to be up to.
Ivan Garcia doing a really good job of staying on the back of the Greek streak there as they head into the corkscrew. I had a hunch that Garcia might be the quickest of these guys. He was able to gain on them, run them down. Let's see what happens with the two guys up front as we ride on board with the driver looking ahead of the cars in third and second.
Lides looked very strong out of the rainy curve, but he couldn't quite do anything with it. There's very little braking into 10. This is really where you want to set it up usually because of that heavy braking into the Andretti hairpin. But if anybody sees you get around, they almost immediately try to cover you off. You're going to see Erlicott stay to the left if he feels threatened by Mumalides.
About 3 car lengths back, about 2 car lengths back, but Mumalides runs out of straightaway.
And that's the other thing you could do. You saw that from onboard Garcia there, that Erlicott actually cut in a little bit early. I found, at least for me, that I tend to want to try and take a late apex on that first apex of the hairpin. And what Erlicott did is basically come in a little bit early. It doesn't hurt you too much as long as you can get that car to rotate, and it prevents a very late dive from Mumulidis. So just in case, even though he didn't go defensive immediately, he still made sure to keep the Greek driver from having any sort of late chance.
14 to go now. Let's check back in on the driver in 6th position. Payton has left Kim short behind and now is trying to work on Coimbra right now. Heading up to the corkscrew.
He's got excellent pace over Rui. Right on board with him. And that shot gives you a really good idea. Honestly, doesn't do it justice, Bill, of when you're inside the car, how little you can see of the track, because we're actually higher than what the driver sees as we sit just on top of the windshield here. You're basically going by memory. As a big bobble we got from Rui.
Oh, I think David is in good position here. We get a good drive off of 11. It's about 2 car lengths back. A good exit, though, from Coimbra.
Yeah, that's going to keep him safe. Peyton's going to get a little bit of the slipstream, but this is not that long of a straightaway. So
let's go back to 8th real quick. Here's Lopez under attack from Eusebio. Eusebio's going to get this pass made, move him up into 8th.
Nice and tidy down to the inside. Looks like Lopez wasn't too interested in trying to fight that. He started this in 12th, and he was up to 8th, so 9th is still an improvement. And he could try and maybe ride the coattails of Eusebio a little bit. You can sometimes get a little bit of pace of a similarly paced car.
Best battle on the track right now is Payton, who is really working on the back of Coimbra. That battle up in front has settled down a little bit. It is still Erlcott, Mumulidis, and Garcia. They're all about 3 car lengths apart.
A little bit off there for Marcello. Another spot where it's really easy to dip your tires into the dirt.
There's the front 3. They go by in order. They're going to head down into 11. Let's see if a pass can be made here. This is probably the best opportunity.
Yeah, this is another great place to try and overtake. The real problem is if you try and get that done, you need to make sure that you get that throttle down as soon as you can. Because if you're passing them on the inside, Bill, you're going to come in way too shallow, and they'll just pull an over-under on you and go by here on this long front stretch to Andretti.
Boy, those 3 drivers really equal on corner exit out of that final corner.
It's going to be very hard. This is going pretty much how I expected with these 3, where until the laps start to get towards the end, it's probably going to be mostly single file, waiting for a mistake from the driver ahead.
I want to quickly go to 12th position. Let's get a little love to Christian Ast, as he is up 7 spots. A good hard charger being chased right now by Tristan Martz. I like this racing, Joe. You can almost make a pass. It's
yeah.
After what we saw at Spa, which you kind of yawned at all the passing, this is a little more intense, a little more meaningful when a car gets by another one.
Oh, absolutely. I personally much prefer watching races here in just about any car. And I'll tell you what, credit to these 2 for racing as clean as they have so far. And just as I say that, little couple wheels off for Ost. I mentioned that earlier, and the reason I mentioned that, it's kind of similar to turn 4, where if you push the limit too hard and the car's still rotating, it can just shoot you off into the barriers very, very quickly. It's almost embarrassing how easily it can do that. So you got to kind of tread a little lightly with how far you push it, trying to let it dip into the sand.
Good racing all the way through. It is getting a little tighter now, up at 2nd. Better check back in on there. Mumulidis with a good run here. Does he have an opportunity? Does he want to try to duck it down in there? My goodness. Mumulidis on Erlicott, tighter than a new pair of shoes on a rainy day. All over him right now as they head up to 5.
Yeah, expect it in 5. 3 and 4 really aren't that great for passing. And good news for Erlicott. He just got himself a fantastic run out of 4. That's what kept Mumulidis from being able to make it a pass here at 5 where they are now. You got to be essentially right up beside someone to try and make that overtake into that corner.
He gets a good drive at 6. Maybe has a shot into the corkscrew. He gets a pretty good exit here.
You got to be brave, though, to get it done in the corkscrew. You need a little bit of cooperation from your opponent. And yeah, you can see Mumulidis, he's not willing to try and take that risk this early in the race. We still got 10 minutes to go. Oh, he's going to set it up for a run-off.
Not going to be able to do it here, but he will get a good drive off of this corner as Erlicott had to take it in shallow. Nope, he'll have to wait. Let's see what happens out of 11. And now he loses momentum, and that brings Garcia into the mix. Let's see if Garcia sticks it down in there.
Covered him off to the inside. Mumulidis saw that one coming. Garcia couldn't do anything with it.
That is the beauty of a 3-car race, though, compared to a 2-car race, where Mumulidis had to sacrifice any opportunity to make the pass on Erlicott to play defense going into that 11th.
Oh, we had a big problem back in 11th. Michael Wortman unfortunately gave up 2 spots in one go. He had been run down by Ost, and it looks like turn 10, just a little bit too much curb. We're going to see here on the replay, Bill.
Yeah, these were the 2 drivers we were looking at. It was Austin Martz. These guys were in that battle, and there's the mistake. Workman drops those 2 spots, goes down to 13th now.
Yeah, those red curbs that you see at those apexes, and that was a good catch, honestly, from Wortman. Those are essentially there for the school that they have here. They do a lot of training at this circuit when there's not racing on the track. And those curbs are essentially supposed to show you here's where the apex is. But unfortunately, they're so tall, you can't get away with hitting them because it's a soft suspension on this car, but too much, and the car will start to spin.
Boy, David Payton, another driver who's been working on the back of that blue car. Point front.
We got a pass for 11th happening. Ost overtaken by Martz. And this was a brave one. It was in 6, Bill.
Boy, side by side through the scariest corner. Let's go ahead and take a look at this one. Martz stuck it in there, said, "This is my apex," and Christian said, "Okay, I surrender."
Yeah, this, yeah. And that was probably the wise choice if you're on the outside of that corner. As second place heating up once again. Jeez. He
is right there. Now, this is where he was fast last time, and I'm talking about Mumulidis, although it's so hard to make the pass here. He gets a good run out of 4. Oh, he's really loose. That could open the door for Garcia, and he loses it right in front of Ivan.
Oh,
the Greek streak is in the wall.
He does get the car going, but he's going to have awful damage. Garcia was so good about getting the car slowed, but I'm sure he didn't want to. There's no caution flags to allow him to catch up to Erlicott. He's now basically got to try and catch him on pace.
Garcia just had to wait and wait and wait for Mumulidis for the car to clear in front of him. We are on board with Mumulidis. The car gets loose and Garcia just waits, and finally the car goes around and Garcia can get back on the gas. But now he is 2 seconds behind.
Desperately wanted to save that one. Behind them, this now brings Payton up into a top 5. Look at the number 12 surviving the pressure. And actually, because of Garcia having to slow up, they're now within a second of him.
So just to tell you what's going on, Calderon's running away with this, cooking with hot fish grease out there, 10 seconds up on Erlicott. Because of the spin from Mumulidis, as we look at our leader, Erlicott now all by himself for the most part. He's got about 3 seconds, 2.5 on Garcia. Now, don't give up on Garcia, though. I thought Garcia was pretty quick. It'll be interesting to see what he can do. He's got, oh, my Joey. Boy, these races are so fast. We better do a back marker shout-out.
Yeah, that's a good point. Actually, I think it is time for that. So if our director's ready for it, I believe we'd start with number 20 and 19th, Wilson DeCastro. He's basically been having something of an anonymous race, considering all the action we've been seeing up front. Oh, and I'm sorry, we got to cut away from this because Mumulidis has had another problem, and he's falling down the order quick. I think this was in turn 5.
Oh, and Ivan Garcia is in the wall as we talk.
Oh, my goodness. We'll get back to that back marker shout-out in a second.
Okay.
That was contact with Kim Short. You're going to see that here. And as soon as that's done, we could cut over to Garcia.
This might be fun to take a look at if we can find it. Take a look at it from Rui Coimbra's car as he sees Garcia pointed in the wrong direction. We'll watch this here. There's Mumulidis.
And to be fair to Mumulidis, Short kind of was trying to force the issue a little bit too much. There.
And there's Garcia. And look at Coimbra go out into the dirt to give room to get around him.
Wow.
So those two drivers continue, Coimbra and Payton, continue just to vulture spots one after the other. We ride on here. Look at this one. I'm going to go right. And Joey was able to do that and not lose the spot to Payton.
Yeah, that was a relatively wise choice considering what he was dealing with. That brings him up onto the podium even because of that move. Behind them, we do have a little bit of side-by-side action. Eusebio manages to overtake Short. And with 3 minutes to go, oh, Short's going to come back at him. They're not going to let me get this back marker shout-out in. All right, I think okay. They've settled down. Let's get back to it. Let's go to 18th, Omar Orellana, who also we really haven't seen a whole lot of, but started this race exactly where he started, just trying to basically bring the car home. And ahead of him is Chris Thurmond. Remember, we saw him up towards the front earlier on. Unfortunately, that incident really ruined his whole race. He's down in 17th, hasn't really gained much since then. Sonny Canchin is back out there since his mysterious pit stop, but is down in 16th. He is on the lead lap. Good for him. At least I'm sure that won't be much consolation. 15th is Akira Shimotori, who started in 17th, 2 positions up for the number 23. Not bad. That's going to be some I rating. And then we'll end with 14th, Michael Wortman, who we saw had a mistake coming out of turn 10, has not recovered too well. Did start in 15th, so it is a gain of positions at least. There's
Trippin' G's back marker shout out. As while you were doing that, I can report that Eric Lopez was racing in 7th. He lost the car, put it in the wall. He's going to go way down the order. So everyone that Joe just talked about is going to be able to pick up a spot as we go to 5th position right now. This is a fun battle. This is Short, and here comes Eusebio. Remember, Eusebio qualified in 5th position, fell well down the orders, trying to get back that top 5 spot if he can.
Short's really been in the thick of it these last few laps, and dealing with it fairly well. I wasn't so sure about that move into this corner a bit ago with Mumulidis. This time, though, it's a successful defense on Marcello, but Marcello's going to get a much better run off the corner. The question is he brave enough to stick it to the inside of 6? No, he's going to have to go the long way around.
My goodness, Short. Pick a line as he works both sides of the track, doing a little bit of weaving. I'm not so sure if Eusebio was happy about that one. He's got a good run now. Oh, they're coming up to the corkscrew. He's going to wait.
And behind them, if they keep fighting, look at that blue and white car.
I know him.
That's Mumulidis, yeah. He is ready to pounce and get 2 for 1.
As we talk, we have not talked about Luis Felipe Calderon, but he is going to get the white flag, and he is up by 12. Let's call it 13 seconds. Erlicott comfortable in 2nd. Go ahead, Joe.
And as we watch this battle, I'm keeping half an eye on 3rd because Ruiz actually got David Payton within about half a second of him.
There is a battle for 2nd, and then the battle from Eusebio that keeps diving down there. We look at that one. And that one really starts to heat up because here comes the Greek streak.
He's still
a battle for 5th and a battle for 3rd. Go.
He's still got impressive pace considering how hard he nosed it into the wall coming out of turn 4.
I'm talking, I tell you, Eusebio is really fast if he can just find some track.
Sure, it's going to make him
Our
work
leader
hard
just
for it.
added into the corkscrew right now. We have plenty of time to stay on this one.
And Mumulidis, as eager as he is, he's got to be careful. Oh, we're going to go too wide again. Here we go. Woo-hoo-hoo.
Coming at you.
Marcello not quite brave enough, and unfortunately that's going to cost him because here comes Mumulidis.
Our
the
leader out of the final corner. Started on the outside of row 1. Let's give round number 5 of the Advanced Mazda Cup to Luis Felipe Calderon. Erlikov gets second. Coimbra is going to be able to hold off Payton. Let's go back to this battle we've been watching.
And it looks like Short's defense worked out well in favor of him because Mumulidis battling with Eusebio has lost a gap to them. But, oh, this is going to be a race to the line. Here it goes, Bill.
Eusebio with a great drive off. I think he's going to run out of time.
Oh, so close.
Mumulidis
so close.
with the damaged hood is going to get 6th. Marcelo Eusebio will get 7th.
4 100ths between them at the line.
18 cars on the lead lap,
including the number 1 car, Bill.
That's why God made drop weeks. Chalk this one up.
I wonder how your Bible studies go. God made some weird stuff.
Late on the 6th day, baby. All right. With the biblical reference out of the way, we're going to take a short break right now. We'll come back to run down the entire finishing order, talk to some of the drivers before we put a lock on the gate. You're watching GSRC on IESN. You're watching the Global SimRacing Channel's coverage of the Advanced Mazda Cup, round number 5 from WeatherTech Racetrack here at Laguna, Seca. And you're watching it on the iRacing Esports Network. You know, the best of the best in the iRacing World Championship, as well as many top private leagues like the one you just watched, are showcased right here on IESN. If you haven't done so yet, make sure you subscribe. GSRC is proud to be an IES stable of broadcasters. All right, let's go ahead to the finishing order right now, and it was Luis Felipe Calderon picking up his first win of the season. He got a few last season, and if he can show up for the rest of the season, he's a real threat to win the championship. Omar Orellana, very quick driver, gets second position. Rui Coimbra, we're going to talk more about him in a minute, gets third. He's going to be inside of David Payton, who followed him the entire race. Kim Short rounds out your top 5. The back half of your top 10, the Greek streak, Ioannis Moumilidis, Marcelo Eusebio, boy, a couple fast drivers right there. Ivan Garcia, Kota Miwa, and Tristan Martz is in 10th. Joe?
Derek Holland ran his race to 11th with Christian Ost, going from 19th on the grid to 12th. He was just ahead of Sonny Cancian, who we're still not totally sure as to why he had to take a pit stop today. Maybe he didn't put enough fuel in, could be the answer. Akira Shimotori finishes in 14th, and Chris Thurmond, even though he qualified within the top 10, he wound up having to settle for 15th. Omar Orellana takes P16. Wilson De Castro actually put a qualifying time in, and that 21st on the grid wound up with a 17th at the checkered flag, so nicely done. And the last car in the lead lap, Michael Wortman, unfortunately with a wreck, finds himself 18th. Adam Lacey in 19th, and Eric Lopez 20th. Then you start to get into the DNFs. Charles Johnson 21st, Daniel Satili in 22nd, and Lucas Lararte in 23rd. Bill?
And now, before I get the honor of talking to our race winner, which would be Felipe Calderon, I want to talk about the Queen of the Ball, who we're going to give that to. You know, what it takes to be Queen of the Ball is undefinable. We don't know what it is, but we know it when we see it. The award salutes Queenie, a fan and supporter of this series and this broadcast. Tonight, it's going to go to Rui Coimbra, who finished in 3rd. Rui had a great race, was able to hold off David Payton for the entire run and pick up that podium spot as he goes from 7th to 3rd. Congratulations to the Queen of the Ball today, Rui Coimbra. And now, with that out of the way, let me get the opportunity. Hey, this is always fun, as we talk to Luis Calderon, who got the win from 2nd position. Once the competition fell away, it was kind of an easier drive for you, Louis.
Hey, thank you so much again for letting me be here. The race was very good for me. Obviously, I was a bit lucky because of what happened to Sonny, but I am still happy about the win because you know, it's my 5th race here in the Advanced Mazda broadcast, and I think that this is my 3rd win.
Yeah.
I forgot, but and obviously, you know, have the possibility to fight with the top guys like Sonny and the other fast drivers. It's really exciting. Today was a lucky day, as I said before, but you know, it's racing and you have to be there to obviously approach the opportunities that the race give to you.
Well, I think the racing gods owed you a little luck because you've had your share of bad luck. You've had a few wins taken away from you. Hey, let's talk about Laguna Seca as compared to like a draft track. I got to figure a driver with your talent, you have to feel a little bit better where it's a little more strategic on a track like that rather than racing in one where it's just get behind the guy and let him sling slap by you the whole time.
Yeah, I think that obviously when you are in a draft track like the last week in Spa,
right.
There is not it's not so important to have the pace. It's just to be smart and try to keep your head cool to doesn't did anything wrong. But obviously for me, it's better to be in a track like Laguna. If you see my first win and my first race in that Advanced Mazda was in Donington, a track that maybe doesn't have the influence of the draft, and it's more about have the pace. So it's obviously better. I think Laguna Seca is one of my favorite tracks in iRacing. And you know, it's good to have the possibility to win in a track like this.
Well, it's always fun to watch you race, and it's even more fun to interview you. We hope we see you next round as we're going to go to Road America. So good luck.
Thank you so much.
Felipe Calderon picks up another win here, Joe. Hey, who are you going to talk to?
Well, I've got Sonny Canchin here. He unfortunately had to get 13th today, and some unusual circumstances. Sonny, we saw the cut course, and that explained your initial slowdown. But then you suddenly came into the pits. Can you tell us what the cause of that was?
Hi, Joe. Thanks. Unlucky 13th. Yeah, the cut course for sure, and I took more time than usual to slow down, and ran out of time, so I got a black flag to come into pits and serve a penalty of 16 seconds. So I had no choice but to pit afterwards.
I started to wonder if that was the case as I was reviewing the footage. Now, when that happened, obviously you got a lot to try and do to run drivers down. And at a track like this, it's incredibly hard to pass. So what did you do to kind of mentally steel yourself knowing that you're stuck in that situation?
Yeah, I had to get out of the mental block which caused the cut course in the first place. Had a few stutters here and there, so I was not thinking straight, and then I had the cut course. But after that, now I looked at where I'd come out, so I was dead last out of the pits. But luckily enough, I was keeping an eye on my speed, and then I set a target. Let's try get 15, position 15. So looking at the time left, and so I had a go. Good that I had a bit of a love tap here there in the middle, so that slowed me down even more. But I ended up 13. Couldn't ask for more, actually, after what happened. So happy about that.
Yeah, considering other drivers would be ecstatic with a 13th in a top split, I'd say it's something to be at least grateful about. Well, commiserations on today's race, and hopefully we'll see a little bit better from you next week.
Yeah, sure, Joe, and the same track in MWT. So looking forward to it. This is a great warm-up for it. So hopefully not the same mistake again.
a lesson for learning for later. So, Bill, that was Sonny Canchin, who took 13th today out on track.
And my partner Joe Peak was all over that one as he called the black flag, or called the slowdown penalty. And my God, it took him forever to serve that one. I don't blame him for picking up a black flag. Seemed like he served it for half a lap. GSRC would like to thank everyone here at the Advanced Mazda Cup community, especially Jordy Fife, for supporting this broadcast. On screen now are just some of the equipment and software used to stream cyberspace into your place. Additional thanks to June Lalonde, who provides the iconic music. See the screen to how to get a hold of more of her great work. The Advanced Mazda Cup returns, as always, in 1 week for round 6. That's going to be a 45-minute affair with a pit stop. That's going to be from Road America. GSRC via IESN will be there to bring you all the action. Hey, next up on IESN, well, that's going to be GSRC's coverage of tomorrow's Grand Prix Legends Round 5 from Mount Panorama. My partner, Joe Peak, and Steph Slock are scheduled to call the action. They're going live tomorrow morning at 9:30 a.m. Eastern. Sliding to our screen now are just some of the upcoming GSRC broadcasts, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. If you want to get more information about us, GlobalSimRacingChannel.com, Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook at Global Sim Racing Channel, and Instagram at GSRC_gram. Hey, if you haven't done so yet, become a YouTube subscriber by heading over to our YouTube page and hitting that big red button. Finally, on behalf of the entire crew, Joe, Sean, and Dougie, I'd like to thank all of you for watching as Luis Felipe Calderon gets the Round 5 win here at Laguna Seca. With that said, we're off to have fun storming the castle. So until next time, race clean, race hard, we'll see you on the track.